Okay, so I'll explain about for all entries one more time. So for all entry statement in select statements, that is used to select common data of multiple tables, right? So in general, when we are selecting the data to generate some output, right? In project scenarios or in real time scenarios, it is not from the single table. So we need to select data from multiple tables and we need to combine the data to make it as a proper output. So when you are creating the data also, the data is not going to create in a single table. So the data will be created in multiple tables. For example, if you are creating a sales order or if you are creating a bill, it's not going to store that entire information is not going to store in a single table, right? That information will be stored in multiple tables. Okay. So material values will be stored in one table, sales data, header level data will be saved in one table, item level data will be saved in another table. So next time when you want to retrieve the data, when you want to read the data about total number of sales orders created in a month, right? So you cannot get that information in a single table. You need to select data from multiple tables and you need to combine that data to make it as a proper output. Okay. So for that, if you use for all entries, you can pass the internal table data as input and you can select the corresponding records from the second table. First, you write one select statement on one table that acts as the header level data. That acts as the header level data, like input for the next level data selection. Okay. So here, for example, if you take our employee tables example, ZMO employee master data table acts as a header level data table, right? And next level table acts as a item level table, like department data or salary data or attendance data. These tables acts as the item level data for the header level data, parent and child. Okay. So first we select the header level data and we pass that internal table with header level data as input to the item level data select statement. Okay. Then you are going to get the common records of both tables. Whatever the common records available, you are going to select common records from the both tables. Okay. Here you need to write multiple select statements. If you need to select data from three different tables, right, you need to write three different select statements and you need to apply for all entries on item level data tables. Okay. So what are the prerequisites to use for all entries? Here the header level data is the first select statement, whatever we are selecting. For example, if you need to select employees, employee master data and salary data by city, right? So I want to select employee master data and salary data by city, right? Here, what is the first select statement we need to write? Because we are passing city as input, right? In which table we have city? ZMO employee master data table we have city. So we write select statement first on the ZMO employee master data table. Then we'll get employees who are working from that specific city, whatever the input we pass, right? We're going to get that value. Next level, this can be a header data now. This acts as the header level data to select the next level data. What is the next level data? For example, salary data, right? We use this header level data as input to select the salary data. For this, we write a separate select statement on salary table and we pass this header level internal table data as input in the where condition. Okay. So whoever the employees available in that internal table, we are going to select data from second table. We are going to select salary data from second level table. Now the second level table acts as the item level table, item data table. Okay. This first level table acts as the header level table, right? Now what are the prerequisites? What are the mandatory prerequisites to use for all entries? What are the prerequisites? Header level internal table, should not be empty. At least one record is needed. How can you check this? If the header level internal table contains at least one record or not. How can you make sure? We can add one if condition. If after
Sub
select
RC
statement,
equal to 0.
if sy hyphen sub rc equal
Sub
to
RC
0,
equal to 0.
0, that means the current select statement is successfully executed and we are able to select at least one record. Or we can also check like this. If internal table name, by using internal table name, if lt underscore header data is not not initial. You can also check like this. What do you mean by is not initial? Is not empty. Then proceed further. Otherwise, don't execute the next level select statement. Right? This is the first condition we need to check. First rule we need to check before using for all entry statements on the item level data. What is the second prerequisite?
Sort the internal table. Sort the internal table.
Internal table should be in the sorted order by the common fields of
Between
the
the two tables.
both tables. If you have one common field, sort by only one common field. If you have multiple common fields, sort by multiple common fields.
Multiple common fields.
Right? Sort by field 1 or field 2. Okay. What is the third rule we need to follow before?
Delete the
Yeah.
adjacent duplicates.
Duplicate records are not allowed. Delete for all entries. So we need to delete duplicate records before executing the for all entries. First we need to sort it and we need to delete. Do we need to delete duplicate records by comparing all the fields or only common fields? By only common fields, whatever the fields you are passing in the where condition, right? Whatever the fields we have commonly available in both tables. So identify the duplicates by only those two fields. If you compare all the fields, you may not be able to find any duplicate records. Okay? But if you compare only those specific fields which are common between both tables, then you may find some duplicate records. Right? Delete. What is the statement to delete the duplicate records?
Delete adjacent duplicates.
From internal table.
Comparing field names.
Comparing whatever the fields we are sorting.
Fields.
Okay. Whatever the fields we are sorting. Okay. Then it will delete duplicate records and keep only unique data with the combination of these two fields. If you have multiple records with the same fields, same field values, so which record it's going to delete? First record or next available record? It will keep the first record. It will keep the first record and it deletes the next available duplicate records. When you apply delete adjacent duplicates. Okay. The record in the first position will keep as it is and then delete the rest of the records. So we need to observe one thing here. Sometimes we should not directly apply delete adjacent duplicates on the original internal table. Because we are going to lose some data, right? So why we are applying these rules? Because these rules are mandatory to apply for all entries. right? So these are not related to business functionality. These rules are not related to our business functionality, our actual scenario. But why are we applying these rules? Just to satisfy for all entries conditions before going to execute the select statement, right? That doesn't mean that we should delete actual data. We should delete actual data because in the for all entries scenario, there might be some duplicate records, but we may need to display that records in the output, right? In only the context of for all entries, there you can find some duplicate records by comparing F1 and F2, but actually those records might be helpful in displaying the output, right? So in that case, we should not directly apply delete adjacent duplicates on the original internal table. So what you need to do? You need to copy. You need to copy the original internal table into one temporary internal table. How can you define the internal table? Using data statement and the corresponding type. Like both the header data and this data should have same type. Otherwise, simply use inline declaration lt underscore header tmp temporary table equal to lt underscore header data. Now what it is doing? We are copying records to the temporary internal table, so that you are not going to lose any actual records, when you delete the data. You're not going to delete any actual records which you need to display in the output. Okay, just to satisfy for all entries conditions, if you delete records from the original internal table, you may not be able to use those actual records in the output. Okay, just to satisfy for all entries, we create one temporary internal table and we use that temporary internal table to delete the duplicate records. Okay, I'll apply delete adjacent on this temporary internal table,
Temporary table.
so that I'm not going to lose my actual header data. Okay, for the sake of for all entries. Okay, now after this we are going to execute the for all entry statement. There is one more rule. There is one more rule. Values of the common fields. There is a record. There is a record, but field F1 and F2 values are blank. In that case also, we should not pass the blank values. Okay, should not be blank. How can you make sure that? So we delete LT. On which internal table we need to apply this? Original internal table or temporary internal table? Apply it on temporary internal table. Okay, which you have already defined here. Delete LT temp where F1 is initial. That means delete the records where
Where
field F1 value is empty. If
is
there is no
initial.
value, delete it. Right? Similarly, delete where F2 values are also empty, so that you are going to pass only valid records to the for all entry statement. Okay? Is everyone clear? Is everyone clear till here?
Yes, sir.
Now, so once you apply the for all entries, and you select the data from header level data and item level data, so you need to combine that output. You need to combine that output into one final output. One final output. Right? How can you do that? We need to loop the internal table. We need to loop the internal table and we need to append records of the both internal tables into one final output internal table. on final output internal table, right? For example, if you have a table with three fields, ID, name and city. This if you want to select data by city, this will act as a header level data. This will act as a header level data. Then the next level will be having one more table, that is a salary table. ID, date, salary. Now if you select a data by city value, this first table will become a header table and salary table will become a item level table. Okay, item level table. Similarly, you might have one more table. You might have one more table, that is for employee and department combination. Employee and department combination. ID and DEPT. Now for this table, which one, if you want to read department also in the final output, if you want to display the department value also in the final output, so which one is the header table for department data, employee and department data? The first table will act as a header table for
Header
department
table
data
for
also.
all those.
Okay. In some cases, first table will be the header table for second table, and second table will become a header table for third table. Third table will become a header table for fourth table in some cases, because table 1 and table 2 has common fields. But if you compare table 1 and table 3, you may not be able to have any common fields. You may not be able to have any common fields. You may have common fields between second table and third table. In that case, second table will become a header table for third table. Okay. In that case, you need to apply for all entries rules on the second table. Okay, because it acts as header table for the third level table. Zero and clear.
Yes, sir.
For example, here I have only employee ID and department, but I don't have department name, the detailed name of the department. For that, I am going to maintain a separate check table, department ID check table. In the department ID check table, I have a department name and department ID and department name, like this. DEPT and department name. If you need to read department name also and display in the output, you need to write one more select statement on the department master data table, where you need to select the department name along with department ID, right? Now, which one will be the header table for department name master data table? So, what is
Department
the
ID and
this
department
table?
name.
This
Yes.
department ID and this ID and employee ID and department combination table, right? It will become a
Yes.
header table for
Header table for
fourth table.
this table.
Fourth
Yes.
table. Now fourth table is item table for third table, because these two tables have a common field. Department has a common field. If you compare first table and second table, you don't have department field, right?
Yes.
So third table acts as the header table for fourth table. So like that you can keep on writing for all entries on multiple tables to select the corresponding data in multiple levels. Okay. So whenever you are trying to select data using for all entries, you need to apply these for all entries rules on
Yes.
each header level internal table. In some cases, first table acts as the header level table. In some cases, second table acts as the header level table. In some cases, third table acts as the header level table, right? So it depends on the scenario. You need to apply for all entries rules on the internal tables before going to use it. Okay. If there is a chance of deleting duplicate records, right, by comparing the common fields, do not apply on the actual internal table, because you are going to lose the actual business data, right? You cannot display that records in the output. Always try to use a temporary internal table, one temporary internal table to delete the duplicate records, and use this temporary internal table in the for all entries conditions. Okay, don't use actual table in the for all entries, right? So whatever the temporary internal table, you are applying all these rules. Use the same table in the select statement also as input. Okay, clear?
Yes, sir.
Let me quickly create a program. I think we have already created one program. Let me create another program. Executable program. First, design the selection screen. Parameters. What is your input? In our examples, I want to select data by city, or you can also take date of join or any input. City, type. So the corresponding city, whatever the corresponding data element, what is available. Then select data from the first level table, because city is the input for us. I'm using new ABAP syntax, inline declaration. You know how to write the old ABAP syntax. MP name, comma, city from ZDemo employee. If you have any doubts of which fields you need to take, open the table first. Before writing the program, always open the table and check the records and the fields, right? Into table, we did not define any internal table prior to this, so we use inline declaration to
Line
define the internal
declaration.
table. Okay, and we have a input city, right, where city
City
equal to,
equals to
we need to use
is.
escape symbol. Okay, so we are able to select records from first level master data table. Then how can you check it is successful or not? If sy hyphen sub rc equal to
C
0, and if so, since employee id is the primary key in this table, we have less chance of duplicate records. Okay, even if you apply delete adjacent duplicates, it may fail because employee ID is the common field, right, between both tables, employee master data table and salary data table. Since it's a primary key, there is very less chance of having duplicate records. Then, what is the next level validation we need to do? By using sub RC check, we are checking that at least one record available or not. So in the next level validation, before going to validate it, what we'll do, we'll create one temporary table. Okay, we'll define one temporary internal table. So it will define one temporary internal table with the same type as LTEMP data and with same the data. It will copy all the records to this temporary internal table as it is. Then sort the temporary internal table by which field? EMP ID. That is a common field, right, between both tables, employee salary data and master data. If you have multiple fields, sort it by multiple fields. Then delete adjacent duplicates from which table? Actual internal table or temporary table?
Temporary table.
Comparing common field. So if you apply this on temporary internal table, you are not going to lose actual records, which we need to display in the output. Okay. So here, whatever the validations we are doing here, these are only for the for all entries purpose. Okay. These are not related to any scenario, business scenario. Next, delete. We need to make sure there is some value for employee ID for each record. Otherwise, delete that record. Since it's a primary key, there is no chance of blank records. But in general, how can you apply? Delete
Essential.
Where EMP ID is initial. Okay. So you are deleting records, whatever the records with blank employee ID. If there is no value, then if LT underscore EMP data TMP is not initial, and if so, here write your for all entry statement. Select the data from salary table. EMP ID, comma. Always make sure select the common fields. Okay, don't only select employee salary, date, and salary, because you cannot combine both internal tables data if you don't select the common field. If you don't select employee ID and just select salary data, salary, there is no link between both internal tables now, right? If you don't select employee ID here, select employee ID also, so that you can link and merge both internal tables data from into table. We did not define any internal table for salary data. Here it makes difference. What is the input for second level internal table? Is it a parameter? No, right? So the records which we selected in the first level select statement, the header level internal table, right? How can you pass that for all entries in which table? Actual internal table or temporary internal table? Actual internal table. You should not take actual internal table because you applied for all entries rules on temporary internal table, right? So that's why you need to take temporary internal table only with the escape symbol. Okay? Because you applied for all entries rules on temporary internal table. Take temporary internal table in the select statement. Where what is the common field? EMP ID equal to, you directly pass the internal table name as input here. Hyphen EMP ID. Without for all entry statement, you cannot pass data like this. Directly internal table data as input in the where condition. You cannot do that. Okay. Now we have selected data from item level table, that is salary table. Now to merge the data, to merge the both internal tables data to generate one common output. What we need to do? We need one type structure. Define one type structure. Begin of ty underscore final. You can take ty underscore final or ty output, right? You can take any name. Take the fields which you want to display in the output. It is not necessary that you need to display all the fields in the output. Take whatever the fields you want to display in the output, not all the fields whatever you are selecting. Okay. I don't want not selecting date of join, phone number, type, end of ty final, and define a internal table and work area for the final data lt underscore final type standard table of ty underscore final. So we have defined one internal table and work area for the final type. Now to prepare this final internal table by combining both internal tables data, we need to merge both internal tables into one single internal table, right? How can you merge? By using common field. You need to, here we need to loop one internal table to append the records to the internal table, final internal table. We need to loop it. So which internal table we need to loop? Always
Second
remember
table.
that the table, the internal table with 1 to n relationship. What is the common field here? Employee ID, right? For each employee ID, in which internal table you can find more than one record. If you take Z employee, this Z demo employee, you cannot find more than one employee record, right? Because employee ID is the primary key. If you take salary data, you have employee ID and salary data as primary keys, so that you will be having multiple records with the same employee ID, because we are going to create records for multiple months for the same employee salary. In that case, which internal table you need to loop?
Second
The internal table with 1 to n relationship. So employee ID will repeat multiple times in the Z demo salary. So we are going to loop at that Z demo salary internal table. Sorry. Define one work area using inline declaration. Loop and end loop. So we need to loop the salary data internal table and end loop. To complete the loop, we need to use end loop statement. So it will complete the loop. Now between the loop and end loop, we need to append. Okay. So between loop and end loop, we need to append the records of salary data and header level data into final internal table. Okay. For that we use a append statement. Now append, sorry, first populate the final internal table. 1 second. First populate the final internal table hyphen. We have employee ID also there in the salary data, but you can take it from first internal table or second internal table. That's up to employee ID equal to whatever the record that is populating every time for this work area. Similarly, populate the rest of the fields which are populating from the salary data. So we use read table to read the header level data, because for each employee we can find only one single record. in header level table. In that case, we can use read table. LT underscore, what is the header table name? EMP data into, so we did not define any work area. What is the common field between both tables?
Right.
Employee ID equal to, what is the input? Whatever the employee, it is looping at present. Okay. Then how can you know that read statement is successfully read one record from internal table to work area? The loop statement will read multiple records one by one from internal table to work area. But read statement will read only one single record from internal table to work area. How can you know that read statement is successful? If sy hyphen sub rc equal to 0, right? Then populate the final internal table with the master data records. We don't need to populate employee ID because we are already populating here from salary data. Populate the rest of the fields. What are the fields we are selecting? EMP name and city. It is not necessary to populate all the fields whatever we are selecting. So whatever the fields you want to display in the output, prepare type structure for only those fields. It is not necessary to prepare final output for all the fields whatever we are selecting. Okay. Whatever the fields you want to display in the output, prepare final output with only those fields. It is not depends on the select statement. And city. Okay. Now we have populated all the fields, right? From both tables. Salary data, it is populating, and from read statement we are populating header level data. Then what is the next step? Append this final work area to one internal table. What is the internal table name? IT final or LT final? LT underscore final. And clear the work area. So every time we are going to loop one record, one salary record into work area, and we are going to populate it to final work area, and we read the header level data and we populate it to final work area, and we append that final work area to the internal table. So how many times this process will repeat? Depends on number of records in the salary table. If there are 100 records in the salary table, it will repeat the same process for 100 times, right? It will populate the data, append it to the internal table, final internal table. It will append 100 records to the final internal table. Okay. Once the loop process is completed, you can display the output, or you can use this final output for any functionality. CL demo output display method, and within the brackets use that internal table name, whatever the internal table you want to display the output. Okay. Check the syntax. Activate the internal table. Now execute. Provide valid value which is available in the table. I did not add the field selection text. Add the selection text. So these are the records by city, employee salary data by city. So we are able to combine records of header data and salary data. Okay. So if you keep a breakpoint here, we observe the data. First observe the master header level data. So how many records we have in the employee data? Header level data, we have two records with unique employee IDs. with the city Hyderabad. If you take salary data, employee IDs are repeating. Please observe. Employee IDs are repeating for different months, right? So that's why we are looping LT salary internal table. Here it is 1-to-N relationship, right? For each employee we have multiple records. That's why we are looping salary data, right? So how many times this loop will continue? How many times? What is the internal table we are looping? Salary data internal table, right? How many records we have in this? 4 records. So the loop will continue for 4 times. How can you know the loop count? Using SY tabix. So now it is looping the second record of the internal table. Now it is looping the third record. So by using SY tabix, you can read the loop count. Okay. How many times the loop is executed? Is everyone clear? So please practice creating for all entries. Please try to add one more table. Currently we have taken only employee ID and the salary data, right? Try to take one more table, maybe attendance or maybe employee ID department combination, right? Like that we need to apply for all entries on multiple levels. Okay. So try applying for all entries on 3-4 tables. Create your own tables. Okay. I'll give you one more example with standard tables, SAP standard tables which are related to sales orders, purchase orders in the next session. Okay.